Jobs in the labor market today take on a variety of characteristics. There are more part-time jobs, there are more temporary jobs, there are more jobs that move from one platform to another or are independent contractors. We have not updated our policies in our institutions to provide the same kind of safety net for those jobs that we have traditionally provided for full-time employees employed by a large firm for a long period of time. So we have to make our benefits portable so that if I work for one company in the morning and then I go and drive an Uber car in the afternoon, then the proportionate hours that go into my pension plan, into covering my health insurance, into providing disability insurance and unemployment insurance coverage should be allocated according to the hours that I work, but they ought to go into an account that stays with me as I move across jobs and occupations. That's the workforce we have. That's the way industry has chosen to organize itself, given opportunities to do so. So now we've got to catch up with those changes by updating and modernizing our social safety net and make it more portable, make it more mobile, make it more the ownership of the individual rather than society having to take care of it in the end through welfare payments. I disagree very strongly with those who say that we aren't going to have enough jobs to go around, so what we need to do is have some guaranteed basic income. Obviously, I'm not against making sure everybody has a basic income, and we can do that through a variety of mechanisms: minimum wage, the employee income tax credits and so on, and where necessary, disability pay and so on. But work has moral value, work has psychological value, work tells us who we are, it gives us our identity and gives us something to put our shoes on in the morning and go and really make a contribution to society. We can never replace those functions of work, or at least we haven't figured out how to do so. Now, over time, we can reduce the number of hours that we are in the paid labor force and open us up to more leisure time and more time to address social and community needs and more time to spread between partners and parents in the home in terms of taking responsibility for home duties and family care. That all can be part of it, but I think it would be an enormous mistake to go to some sort of basic income that we think somehow will replace work. We've got to make sure that work provides a living wage and better, and opportunities and motivation to advance so that people really get the psychological as well as the economic returns to work, and where they can come home at the end of the day and talk to their children about what they did and why it's valuable and why it's important and why their children need to learn the values of hard work but good work. Many of our young people today really are interested in starting new ventures, private ventures for profit and sometimes social ventures for nonprofit, for two reasons. One, because they see opportunities and they see a need to address important problems in society, but secondly, because they really like to work together. They like a challenge. They like to work in teams. They've come through our best schools and universities working on problems together. They meet colleagues who have diverse interests. They're comfortable in working in diverse teams, and I think that all is to the benefit of our society, and certainly it's to the benefit of the economy, because startups are an important source of new job creation. That's where not all will succeed, but some will create sustainable jobs, and a few of them will become the next Googles or Microsoft or whatever, that become large organizations that employ many people. So we need that startup activity. We need to support it. We need to nurture the culture, and we need to make sure that it's inclusive, and that the startups are done not just to provide returns in the short run to some venture capital firms and then sell it off to some highest bidder, but to build sustainable, growing corporations to last. That's the kind of startup community that I think is so valuable. That's the startup community that many of us here at MIT are trying to encourage and support. And that's the startup community, which will help us dig out of the economic hole that we are in and create a more promising future for the next generation.